Hey everyone, it's David Sirota. So by now you've probably heard the story about Harvey Weinstein and how all the allegations about sexual harassment and sexual assault that have been made about Harvey Weinstein. But it's always worth, as I've always said, following the money. A new story at International Business Times tells you why you should follow the money, even in a story like this. What we found is that Harvey Weinstein's longtime attorney and his longtime attorney's law partners have delivered a lot of money to Manhattan's district attorney. And Manhattan's district attorney in 2015 decided not to prosecute Weinstein over sexual assault allegations. Here's what happened in specific. In 2015, an Italian model basically accused Harvey Weinstein of groping her. And she brought those allegations to the police department in New York. The Manhattan District Attorney did an investigation. His office did an investigation. His name is Cy Vance. They did an investigation and they decided not to prosecute Harvey Weinstein. What wasn't mentioned at the time, but is being mentioned now because we just reported it, is that Harvey Weinstein's longtime lawyer is David Boies. David Boies has done legal work for Weinstein and Weinstein's empire for years, at least dating back to 2005. David Boies has given Cy Vance's campaign in Manhattan $55,000, according to state records, including $10,000 in the months after Cy Vance's office decided not to prosecute Harvey Weinstein over those sex assault allegations. Additionally, Boies' other partners at his firm have delivered other money to Cy Vance, again, the total being more than $180,000 of campaign cash from Boies and Boies' law firm associates together to the Manhattan District Attorney, who decided not to prosecute Harvey Weinstein. Now, this is important because there's the Weinstein story, which is important unto itself, but it's also important to look at the question of money in politics and judicial decisions and prosecutorial decisions in the criminal justice system. This story comes on the heels of ProPublica reporting this same week that the Manhattan District Attorney was looking into potentially prosecuting Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump Jr. over real estate situation, real estate allegations that they had defrauded investors in a real estate scheme. And what ProPublica reported was that Trump's longtime lawyer, Mark Kasowitz, had given Manhattan District Attorney, the same guy, Cy Vance, had given his campaign $25,000 and then got a meeting with Cy Vance, and then Cy Vance's office decided not to prosecute the Trumps. Essentially overruling the prosecutors who were working for him in his office. The DA is elected, but the DA has a whole staff of staff attorneys, and Vance in that situation basically, the ProPublica story said, overruled his prosecutors under him and decided not to prosecute. Now Vance's office has said that the $25,000 that came in to Vance's campaign before he had the meeting with Kasowitz and then decided to drop the case and not prosecute the Trumps, Vance's office has said that Vance gave back the $25,000 before the meeting with Kasowitz. But here's the thing. In the months after the meeting with Kasowitz, Trump's lawyer, after Vance had decided not to prosecute the Trumps, Kasowitz made an even bigger donation to Cy Vance's campaign. Now, is there evidence, direct evidence, that the money was a quid pro quo? No. And in fact, Vance's office has continued to say there was no quid pro quo. And interestingly enough, we've heard that was the campaign mantra in 2016 of the Democrats and Hillary Clinton. When she was asked about Wall Street donations and the like, it was, no quid pro quo. Well, now that that argument is coming up again. They're saying that there was no quid pro quo between Kazowitz's donation to Vance and Vance deciding not to prosecute the Trumps. The same ideas sort of floating around there about Weinstein. Vance's office telling us at International Business Times, well, David Boies wasn't representing Harvey Weinstein in that specific case, but of course, David Boies has been doing all sorts of work for the Weinstein empire for years. So is there any smoking gun evidence here that it was like, here's money and we're definitely now not going to prosecute you because we got the money? No, there isn't that smoking gun. But you have a situation in New York City where the district attorney is elected. There are a lot of elected district attorneys throughout the country. Same thing in New York. New York happens to be very powerful because the financial world is there, so the district attorney has some jurisdiction over all of Wall Street and the like. But you have a situation in which the district attorney is elected, gets huge campaign contributions from people all over New York who may have interactions with and business dealings with and a vested interest in what the DA is deciding to do in terms of prosecuting people or not prosecuting people. This is a really important part of the campaign finance system that doesn't get nearly enough attention. It's a part of the campaign finance system where you're not just electing people to vote on your behalf for a specific piece of legislation. The district attorneys in this country have the power, and what they're elected to do is to prosecute people, to decide to try to put people in jail, to criminally investigate and punish them, or decide not to do that. And you have a system where at the municipal level, at the federal level, the U.S. attorneys get appointed by the president, so the U.S. attorneys aren't directly soliciting campaign donations. But at the municipal level, you have a situation where, in this case, a person who is the district attorney is working in a system in which he is raising money from people and interests who have a potential vested interest in who he decides to prosecute and who he decides not to prosecute. You had one example earlier in the week of Vance getting money from Trump's lawyer deciding not to prosecute the Trumps. Now you have another example of Vance getting money, in this case from Harvey Weinstein's lawyer, after he decides not to prosecute Harvey Weinstein. It is always, 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 as I say, important to follow that money.